Hello everyone, interesting video for you today, really on the back end of a report that Ripple released on the 18th of June 2025 that was all about securing the UK's competitiveness in crypto asset regulations. Now this was published by Ripple, but it was essentially done in partnership with the UK Centre for Blockchain Technology and Innovative Finance. Now, this led me down a bit of a rabbit hole. First of all, to explore who the UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies essentially was or is. And through doing that, it became quite apparent that this is the leading national hub for blockchain innovation and expertise that work with governments. I'll explain a little bit about what they do, how influential they are. But it led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole in regards to who works with these individuals that have a sway on, the UK government, obviously academic institutions, and there are only really two blockchains that work with this organization, and those blockchains are Ripple and Hedera. Now, I think given this sort of institution's role or importance in regards to UK regulations and kind of blockchain innovation and expertise, and the UK isn't going to kind of be the only country that doesn't embrace this technology. I think the fact that they work with both XRP and Hedera is pretty bullish for both XRP and, of course, HBAR. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video, is we're going to be exploring this. And I think furthermore, we're also going to be looking at who the individuals are. So who Paolo is, who Nick Hill is, and of course who Francesco is. And actually two of these previously, in terms of Paolo, was the co-chair Treasury Management and Token Economics at Hedera. And of course, Nick Hill also, surprisingly, was a governing global council member. And this individual, Francesco, of course, doesn't have a link to Hedera, but of course JP Morgan and some of the others. And I think this is just further evidence, and really why I'm doing this video is in regards to both XRP and Hedera's really unique and kind of front position in regards to this transformation that's taking place globally. Everyone's focused on the US right now, but there is a world outside the US. US markets, of course, are the most important because they're the largest. I know people get a little bit annoyed when I say that, but that is just simply a fact of the matter. So a little bit about these individuals. This is from their website. We help position the UK as a global leader in blockchain technologies. I found these on the back end of Ripple's article on securing the UK's competitiveness in crypto asset regulations, which really talks about digital assets in the UK are at an inflection point. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, stated her ambitions for the UK to be the world leader in digital assets in April. Since then, we have seen the HM Treasury publish draft legislation to set up a new regulatory framework for crypto assets and a series of consultations from the FCA covering crypto asset activities, stablecoin issuance and custody, and prudential treatment of crypto firms. We have also seen new participants announced for the Digital Securities Sandbox, run by the FCA and the Bank of England, and the announcement of a pilot to issue a digital UK government bond. The opportunity for the UK is huge. If the regulatory framework is designed correctly, it can facilitate innovation, enhance financial inclusion, and solidify the UK's position as a competitive global financial centre. This directly aligns with the government's #1 mission of boosting economic growth. I don't think they're going to do a great job of that. However, maybe blockchain can help them out in a roundabout way. The government can unlock this growth by supporting the development of the UK as a global hub for digital assets. But to do so successfully, it needs to create a regulatory framework that empowers financial institutions to incorporate and invest in digital assets and blockchain technologies with confidence. And of course, this led me onto this organization because these essentially convened at the London Policy Summit which of course was in partnership with Ripple and the UK Centre of Blockchain Technologies and Innovative Finance to essentially explore all of this. And the summit was essentially focused on these. And this is, of course, Ripple's plan in regards to what they can do. And I found it very interesting that not only is the kind of chair of this organization and the director ex-Hedera members or employees. Also, if you look at the partnerships and who this organization, which is the leading organization in regards to the UK, from an academic and kind of policy point of view, the only two individuals these guys happen to work with is both Ripple and subsequently XRP and, of course, Hedera. And it says, we are proud to be supported by Ripple. And what it specifically says about Hedera, which is very interesting, and it says, we are delighted to be partnered with Hedera, a leading platform for decentralized applications and smart contracts. Together, we are driving the blockchain revolution in the UK by leveraging Hedera's innovative technologies. With this partnership, we aim to accelerate the adoption of blockchain, empower stakeholders, and position the UK as a global leader in this informative or transformational technology. And that's really what's going on here. And I guess this video is all about trying to see who's going to be a part of that. You know, we know the entire world is going to embrace DLT. It's an evolution of the financial markets, but systems more broadly moving on to decentralized global ones. It's going to usher in this kind of global financial system. And I think my job is to try and find out who's going to play a role in that. And I think wherever you look, you're going to see a few blockchains really leading. Ripple with XRP, you're going to see Stellar Lumens, you're going to see the likes of Hedera. Quant is another one that, of course, worked on the Digital Pound Foundation. Now, people see Quant as a competitor to the likes of XRP or Hedera. The opposite. It's not a competitor, it's an enabler. It's an overledger system that essentially sits on top of the ecosystem of blockchains that allows companies access to them. And Gilbert Verdrin himself has said, if you want to get something done fast and cheaply, use Hedera. I will need to try and find that clip. But this was really interesting because these guys are a big deal here in the UK. The UK is looking to set its face towards the cryptocurrency industry. And I think these guys are going to have influence and already have in regards to enabling this. Just a little bit more about the UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies. One thing that they do is attend parliamentary roundtables and APPG events. So the co-founder, Nick Hill, who is the deputy director, Francesco, speak regularly at all party parliamentary groups, sessions. Most recently, they attended one on the 3rd of June, which was a roundtable hosted in the House of Parliament discussing crypto regulations and blockchain policy alongside MPs and industry leaders. So I'm highlighting this to show that Hedera and Ripple and thus XRP have really their foot through the door in regards to the UK government. So the UK CBT also presented at earlier Web3 focused APPG meetings in January 2024. These engagements allow the UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies to essentially shape policies through evidence-based discourse and expert testimonial. And of course, they also, as far as academic institutes, work with the University of Oxford, very prestigious university here in the United Kingdom, not here right now, and of course the University of Birmingham and UCLA. So this is a big deal that these two projects are essentially, you know, the partners of this group. And I think that's going to help their kind of ease of passage or positioning in regards to being used and utilised for the up-and-coming innovation that's taking place. So they sponsor a lot of high-level government forums, so Blockchain Industry Parliament Reception, the UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies, the co-sponsor of this major Houses of Parliament reception, organised by the British Blockchain Association and the APPG on blockchain. The event featured speeches by MPs, Natalie Elphick, and drew a board cross-sector from governments, academia, and industry. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes that doesn't quite get publicised, but through a little bit of digging, you can kind of find out who the main players that are actually looking to work with governments are in the DLT space. So collaboration on digital currencies and CBDC research. So they've obviously partnered with the Digital Pound Foundation, the UK Centre for Blockchain Innovation, have collaborated with the Digital Pound Foundation, joining its use case working group. They share research on stablecoins, CBDCs, and prototype applications, acting as a joint academic partner in the industry hub. Of course, Quant was mentioned on that. Ripple, we know, are working with them. And of course, I wouldn't be surprised if Hedera has been certainly mentioned in all of this. So working groups and regulatory consultation, bridging academia, industry, and regulators. The working groups section on their site highlights the UK's Centre for Blockchain Technology's role in supporting government regulations and regulators by researching DLT's impacts and sharing insights to inform regulations and innovation. Remember, they have two partners. Also, policy-oriented research. The UK's Centre for Blockchain Technology's involvement informs government discussion on digital gilts, blockchain-based sovereign bonds, stablecoin regulations, and frameworks for crypto asset regulations, and academia backbone and thought leadership. They've got strong institutional foundations backed by leading universities like Oxford, Birmingham, and UCLA. The CBT, Centre for Blockchain Technologies, blends academic rigor with policy engagement. Founders like Paolo have long-standing advisory roles with the UN and the European Parliament. So these guys are a big deal. They're essentially leaders in regards to thoughts and research around actually embracing this technology, which we know everybody's going to do. And the fact that there's only two partners in regards to blockchain projects that work with them, being Hedera and, of course, Ripple, I think is very, very telling. And again, Paolo has a very impressive career, one of which, before he went on to do this, the co-chair of Treasury Management and Token Economic Committee at Hedera. And this is a part-time job that, of course, he no longer holds. But he's had some really, he used to work at Quant also. Extremely impressive. And you find Hedera and Ripple really popping up all over the place. And of course, the same is true with Nick Hill, having been a governing council member at Hedera. And he was representing the University College of London, which of course released that paper on, he's worked at HSBC, so on and so forth. They, of course, released the paper on kind of Hedera's global impact in regards to being a very green, the most green DLT that is out there. So this was just interesting because we know the UK is setting its hand and face towards the cryptocurrency space, looking to embrace it to unlock growth and things like this. And I think they really need the help right now. And the UK Centre for Blockchain Technologies is essentially the leading national hub as it is related to all of this. They work with the top universities here in the UK. And of course, the founding members of this come from Hedera, and they only have two sort of crypto project partners, one being Ripple, one being Hedera. And I think this is going to give both Ripple and Hedera some serious influence and sway as it relates to the United Kingdom. So something I'm personally very excited to see. We just wanted to report on that. Because again, it's our job to try and find out who's going to play a leading role in this sort of technological transformation that's taking place. We've placed our bets. Obviously, XRP and Hedera happen to be some of them, and it's for reasons like this. That's it from me, guys. I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.